Hi, my name's Felix, and today we're going to be having a look at The Binding of Isaac 4 Souls. As some of you may know, Binding of Isaac is a roguelike video game created by Edmund McMillen in 2011. Well, following a Kickstarter that was so successful, it was funded in just 1.5 hours, 2018 saw Mr. McMillen translate his video game hit into a cardboard beast of its own. In this card game, 2 to 4 players will be competing to be the first player to get to 4 souls, gained primarily by defeating boss monsters. You'll go about this by collecting treasure items, defeating monsters, and sabotaging the other players along the way.
To set up, each player selects a character and is given that character's starting item. This item cannot be destroyed or stolen, unlike other items in the game. There are 3 decks on the table: a loot deck, treasure deck, and a monster deck. A store is formed by drawing 2 treasure cards and laying them on the table. 2 active monsters are also placed on the table. Each player starts a game with 3 loot cards and 3 cents.
If anybody's playing as Cain, they go first. Otherwise, first player goes to, get this, the saddest player. Either this is an on-the-nose joke about the quirky first player rules prevalent in many modern board games, or it's just a reference to the game's theme. Either way, if you don't want to explore the depths of your own self-pity, perhaps you just roll a dice for first turn.
On each player's turn, you will draw 1 loot card, then you can play 1 of them, or 2 if you tap your character, buy 1 treasure if you have enough coin, and fight 1 monster should you choose to.
These actions can be resolved in any order, so this will be very dependent on your strategy each turn.
Loot cards can be one-shot actions, low-powered treasure items, or coins, which make up the majority of the deck. These are the cards you want to play in order to buy shiny treasure. Purchasing a treasure item will cost you 10 cents. When you purchase, you can pick either of the 2 items on the table, or you can try your luck by taking a card from the top of the treasure deck. Items are placed by your character and can be used immediately after purchase. The treasure items vary quite wildly, some being quite underwhelming and generally avoided in the store, while others cause that drop-jawed moment as you discover an item of ultimate cosmic power. If you choose to fight a monster on your turn, you can target either of the 2 active monsters or a random monster from the top of the deck. The new monster must be placed over one of the 2 active monsters, and then the fight commences.
Attacking the deck is a risk-reward strategy. You could pull a monster that will quickly turn you into a fine paste, or you could be lucky, pulling either a chest or perhaps even a curse.
Cards that allow you to hex a rival player, giving them a negative effect that remains until they next die.
On to combat. Every fight you have in this game is a fight to the death. To fight a monster, you must roll a d6. If you get the number indicated on the card or higher, you do damage to the monster. Otherwise, the monster does damage to you. Repeat this process until either you or the monster are defeated. If they do not die, all characters and monsters heal to full health at the end of the round. Fighting monsters in this is probably the quickest way to advance, as each monster gives a reward depicted on the bottom of its card. Generally, the harder the monster, the better the reward. If you lose fighting a monster, you have to pay the death penalty. Not like that. You have to lose 1 cent, 1 loot card from your hand, and 1 treasure item. Sometimes this is enough to take you back to square one, but often it's not. The boss monsters, those that you need to be defeating to gain souls and win the game, are daunting adversaries indeed. Fighting one of these can feel like you're constantly hurling your character into a meat grinder of despair, constantly losing your most expendable resources each time. But when a string of dice rolls come together with a sprinkling of item use that brings home that bacon, boy does it feel good. So the rules are quite straightforward, provided on a mere pamphlet, making the teach quite quick and painless.
As you can tell, there are a lot of cards in this game, meaning each playthrough is simmering with enough variety spice to keep your taste buds sore.
As expected from a game like this, there are several cards that will take the rules as written and bend them or break them for added interest. I mean, yes, there is a lot of randomness, and you may get burnt from time to time, drawing nothing but rubbish treasure cards or only having a series of terrible die rolls. But there are plenty of good tactical decisions in hedging your bets that lead to a really good flow and lots of amusing player interactions.
For instance, you might use an ability to take a random card from another player's hand just to find you've stolen an almost worthless penny. Or another card will allow you to cause damage to another player while they are halfway through a nail-biting battle, sowing the seed of their demise.
It's fair to say, if you like a bit of Schadenfreude, you're going to have a lot of fun with this game, with players constantly scrambling over each other for souls, thwarting each other at critical moments. I mean, so many of the abilities in this game are designed to trigger on other players' turns, inciting chaos. You'll have monsters and treasure cards showering over the table in a dance of destruction every time.
When it comes to the aesthetics of the game, it's clear that this isn't going to be for everyone. A Frankenstein combination of the cute and the macabre taken straight from the original IP. But if you're a fan of the original video game, none of this will come as a surprise to you, and you may already be invested in its own odd charm. In fact, if you have any friends who played the video game and they haven't yet taken the plunge into board games, this game would be a great introduction. With snappy gameplay and an easily digested playtime of only 45 minutes, it's superb gateway material. But there are a few issues I have with the game, and the first is the price. Currently available for $40 US, I just don't feel it's up to the standard of games in that price range. Cards are a bit thin and flimsy, some of the components are cheap and in some cases unnecessary, and the box itself, not only is it a really odd shape, but there's so much dead space in there. A higher pledge on the Kickstarter did include an expansion worth of cards, so perhaps it's for that. But as it currently stands, that's not even available to buy separately, so not much regard for your wallet or your shelf space. While this is a fun game of frantic turns and aha moments of dropping bombs on your friends, I don't think it does anything particularly revolutionary, which rolls in again to the price issue when there are so many good games out there vying for your hard-earned cash. So, The Binding of Isaac 4 Souls is a good game. I've had a lot of fun playing it, fighting vile monsters, hoarding treasure, and irritating my friends along the way. I can see how so many people would enjoy this game. If you're a fan of the original video game, or you like games that involve unapologetically stamping on other players to get yourself to victory, then get this game, for sure. But if neither of those apply to you, I can see how your money might be better spent elsewhere. Thanks for watching this review. It's been fun to do, and I hope to see you again soon. Now, time to leave this box of demented souls behind.